Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show, and John here, you there, Maddie here, Maddie back, Jared here, and this is going to be a stacked Wall Pass Wednesday because it is a midweek whip around Wall Pass Wednesday, which means Atlanta United, Cincinnati. We get into that. I think someone's going to be joining us from Cincinnati in hour number 2. Possibility of Dylan Butler joining us, and Dylan Butler Estates is finally getting its
first. You got
first
Martin shot? That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Yeah, Tom Browning.
Before your time, Maddie. Don't worry.
Yeah, Tom Browning, Norm Charlton, and Rob Dibble, the Nasty Boys, are going to be joining us in hour number 2. So we'll have that. Dylan Butler, hopefully, the busiest man in the Northeast, to talk about Dylan Butler Estates, who has its first schematics that are out. I still think the place is too small. Tyler Pilgrim joining us from Scarves, the letter N Spikes, as he always does at 9:15. So we have 9 minutes to talk about whatever we're going to talk about. But since Jared is the short timer here, I'm going to go ahead and to Jared, since you and I had the chance to discuss slightly what was going on with a particular individual. We'll go here. News from the twos, and it's not good.
It's not.
No, Atlanta United 2 today announced that defender Ramsey Kawasmi suffered a partially torn MCL in his right knee. Rehab process will determine his recovery timeline. However, Kawasmi is expected to miss approximately 6 to 8 weeks. Since signing, 5 appearances, 4 starts, anchored the Atlanta defense in the clean sheet over Chattanooga FC. Spent 5 seasons at Providence College before playing 50-plus minutes with Lou City for the 23 season. Back-to-back roadie starts this Saturday as they go to Huntsville to take on Hunt City at 8. And Jason, Maddie et al. Will be at Joe Davis for that one. That'll be on the network on the weekend. But the Ishii news continues, Jared. Happy Wall Pass Wednesday. News on Ramsey Kawasmi sucks.
Yeah, you go back to that game against Chattanooga that you won 1-0, which is kind of one of those, hey, MLS Next Pro dumb upsets of the week kind of games, where Atlanta had given up basically 3 goals in the last 2 games before that, then pitched a clean sheet against a really good Chattanooga side.
Yep.
Kawasami is part of anchor that back line, man. He was that kind of guy you bring in who he'd been at Lou City, hadn't gotten much time, and he was trying to go somewhere else to see if he could break through somewhere else. Thought he was solid here because your back line's already been decimated considering the first team injury, so you've had to pull up Noah Cobb and Ephra, and just about anybody else with a pulse. But now you have, I think it was a collision in the goal mouth where he goes down, and now his MCL is torn, and that sucks. It sucks for him because if for no other reason, I thought he had made a good first impression with the club.
Yep.
I don't know what his ceiling would have been, but that was what you needed if you're that kind of player. If you're kind of stuck in between, you're going to an MLS club to play for their second team to make an impression, either for that club or for other people to notice you to make another jump to see where you can stick. So it sucks for him. Hopefully he'll be able to get back in it and be able to contribute and show that he can stick in one of the higher leagues in this country or abroad even.
Yep. And so we'll keep an eye, obviously, on Ramsey and his rehab. Hi, Maddie. Welcome back.
Hi. I didn't know if you wanted me to bring up the Ramsey news, and then you already did it. I'm in mourning right now. That's not good. It's not good. Basically echoing what Jarrett said. I mean, it's already sucking because you have Morales and then everyone else probably going up and playing for the first team. It's really hard to balance that aspect. We don't really know. Morales will be on the bench more or less. You'll have him in that back line, but then you also have to switch around your whole back line once again. Maybe instead of having Edwards on that right side, you push him back to that center back. We know that he can do it, But, it still sucks because now you're down another player who has been very impactful for you guys since he's been here, and it's not good. But other than that, I'm doing really well.
Yes. So since this is, in fact, opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, now that we're transitioning. Opening kickoff coffee. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching on either the YouTubes, the Twitch, or on the 280-character app. Remember, go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Hit the QR code. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So for kickoff this morning, we catch up with Maddie and find out what it's like to be a college graduate.
It feels the same, except I just have a paper that says I'm done with my degree.
I have to ask, when they handed you, do they still do the thing where they hand you the binder where your diploma is supposed to go? When you open it up, your degree's not in there, but they're already asking for money from the Alumni Association?
Yes. No, that is literally in the thing. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. No, that's in there. My mom was like, do you not get your degree? And I was like, well, first of all, that'd be really confusing for them having to search through so many degrees to do it. But also, two, they were like, no, they're going to mail it to me. And they're like, so then what are they handing you? I'm like, my diploma cover.
Your diploma cover and a request for money from the Alumni Association.
Yes.
Because football doesn't pay for itself.
No, especially in a new conference where you're gonna have it's gonna be a long slog, son.
Absolutely.
So you too can play NCAA, EA Sports NCAA, whatever the hell they're gonna call it.
Yes.
Possibly pay the $150 Goram for the Heisman edition. Get the hell on! I'm not doing that.
No.
But you too can take Kennesaw and make them a great program. Just turn difficulty to rookie or freshman mode, and I don't know, maybe see if you can play with 8 defenders.
Yeah, there you go. It just makes sure that everything happens in front of you, nothing gets behind you, and then that way you don't score. So let's see. We saw the photos of the pre-graduation where somehow you snuck onto the field at the Fraction to get your picture taken, and then smuggled a bottle of champagne onto campus and sprayed that in front of a building. So I don't know if there were any administrators or enforcement officers that had the people's eyebrow up that you had a bottle of champagne on campus.
Well, it's actually pretty funny, is because Kennesaw State is a dry campus. But everyone...
The irony, basically.
The irony of it, but everybody for graduation photos, they always bring champagne on. And I've seen administrators walk by and they're like, okay. You can't not. It's a grad staple. You have to have the little champagne do it. And also, too, I wasn't about to shake the champagne on the Fraction. That was not about to happen. I know how hard they put into that field.
Well, I mean, but
that field's going to be fragile come late summertime when they start doing reseeding for football too.
Yeah, so maybe that's why they're reseeding it now. And Atlanta United 2 has 7 of their next 8 on the road.
That might be, but yeah, I mean, I was able to get into the Fraction, took some cute photos, and then it's been fun. I went on vacation for a little bit. Now it's back to work because when I think I'm done traveling, I'm not. So this weekend's going to be very interesting.
Yes, it will be. Because of everything going on involving the various and sundry squads, we have the Atlanta United Equinox, which we'll talk about in hour number 2, where everything is happening on the same day. But let's see. So you got your time on the beach. Oh, how's the car, by the way? Considering the Easter egg that you gave the other day, how is the car?
Oh, the car is great. Oh, that was a ding. I'm so sorry. We're back. Hey, listen, it wouldn't be
you
me
could not
back.
have timed that any better if you tried.
Listen, y'all, it wouldn't be me being back if I didn't have a notification come off in the middle of my thing.
Yes.
The car's great. The car's actually getting detailed today as well because it needs to be cleaned. It's bad. It's bad. Okay. I say my car's name is Roy Kent, so I don't really know what the point is of that, but yes, yes, it is Roy Kent after Ted Lasso.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
I just wanted to let everyone know in case you didn't know, but so she's gonna look all nice.
No, there's man. She's back, and all of a sudden everything has just gone off the rails. And I figure since this is opening kickoff,
look, I get that some
turn the
people
slider to
got to
silence.
buy a ticket. They've got the right to yell whatever abusive shit they want at footballers. But they're not just footballers. They're also people.
There you go. So that way we have everything lined up. It wouldn't be Maddie if it wasn't alerts going off during the segment. And so I'm going to welcome in Tyler because it is 9:50. Are you sending Tyler's minimizing in the noise?
Gotta make sure my phone's on silent. Sorry.
Listen, guys, I'm telling you, it would not be me being back if I didn't have notifications going off.
Of course.
This is literally the reason I have a smartwatch, a hybrid smartwatch, is I leave my phone on silent and my wrist goes whenever someone wants me. This is why I do this.
Yes.
I don't want anything making noise, because when I'm away from the house and I don't have a 7-year-old asking me the questions of the universe, I don't want noise. Mm-hmm. So often I drive to and from work in utter silence. I can just hear the gears change in my transmission. That's all I want to hear.
That's all you want to hear. And so that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch, on the YouTubes of the 280-character app. Don't forget, you go and use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so here's the question to ease Tyler into the segment. Well, might be more of a statement. How many of you knew, show of hands, that Red Lobster is closing 48 restaurants because of financial troubles with the chain? Show of hands. Wow.
Is it because they deal in seafood and has a higher cost, I'm assuming? And I don't know, man. Maybe unlimited shrimp wasn't your best idea.
Yeah.
But the cheese biscuits, though.
And
the cheese biscuits are, yes, the cheese biscuits, though, is the correct answer.
Yes. They pushed, Red Lobster, according to Newsweek, has been struggling for years with declining sales and profit, reporting a loss of more than $11 million in the third quarter of 2023. So basically, Lionel Messi's yearly salary, according to Restaurant Business, after pushing its ultimate endless shrimp as a fixed offer on its regular menu for $20.
Was it fake that Chili's is going away? Because if this is real, I might cry.
I don't know.
I thought I had saw somewhere that Chili's is they're going away. Okay. And I'm like, this would be the worst news of my life.
Hang on. Efforting.
They did it with O'Charlie's.
Yeah.
O'Charlie's disappeared on us.
Yeah.
At least most of them.
Charlie's just kind of got snapped though. O'Charlie's just kind of stumbled around for a minute, then turned to dust.
Yeah.
Okay. So something called Spoon University is asking Maddie's question: is Chili's Grill and Bar really closing? The answer is complicated. So it's complicated on Facebook.
Yo, it's the cheapest.
I mean, I'm assuming there's probably still Applebee's, right?
Yes, there are.
Hey, Applebee's is giving away dollar margaritas right now.
Chili's was quick to alleviate concerns, responding, "No, we'll be here forever!" Exclamation point. So basically, some locations are closing. Fort Wayne, Indiana, St. Joe's, Missouri, Charlotte, North Carolina. Last year, Brinker International, the owner of Chili's Bar and Grill, permanently closed 16 locations that were, quote, performing below our standards that were near or at the expiration of their lease terms. So aside from the standalone locations, Chili's, including other popular chains like Applebee's and Ruby Tuesdays, in malls will also close and be replaced with newer eateries due to the boom in smaller and regional restaurant chains with a local following, according to CNN. Lazy Dog, Gen Korean Barbecue, and Postino Wine Cafe are supposed to be drawing customers back to the malls. Franchise is still up and running, so Maddie, you will still have your baby back ribs.
Oh, listen, that's all I wanted. It's been my saving grace when I need a cheap meal. So I would have cried.
Hey, look, I saw when we were in Jefferson for the tour for the matches of the week, a Beef O'Brady's in Jefferson, Georgia. around the corner from the high school stadium complex. So Beef O'Brady's actually exist in the state of Georgia, and one of them is in Jefferson.
I couldn't tell you the last place I saw one of that. It had to be in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
like in a weird place like Ocala or something.
Yes, somewhere that's not major city based. So,
or it's just outside. It's like suspiciously outside of a major city. Like, we weren't allowed to put this in Tampa, so we went to the unincorporated area and squeezed it in.
Yeah. the area a couple exits up on the freeway. Like, you make the turn on 75, and it's just like right there before you get into the city limits is where it is. So now that we've had the incredibly insightful discussion about eateries and such, Tyler, I know that the response has been fairly heated on Scarves N Spikes and about what has happened over the last handful of matches. Have you had time to digest all of the different opinions as we get into a match day midweek here and a midweek whip around setup?
I don't know that I'll ever be able to digest all of the opinions,
mm-hmm.
but for the most part, yeah, it's like when you eat ribs. Speaking of ribs,
Attaboy.
You know, and you get the tender part, but then there's that one part that just is a little chewy,
mm-hmm.
and that's where I'm at. That chewy part, it tastes really good at times, but then you're like, I shouldn't be eating this. And that's how I feel about taking in some of these opinions from everybody.
Maddie, since you're back. Actually, yeah, Maddie, since you're back, first question for Tyler.
I get the honors. This is awesome.
It's chivalry and a return for a graduate. I mean, come on now. There are several things in play here.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you know, from seeing the response, at least on Monday, in the media getting the chance to talk to Pineda and Lennon, what was sort of what were you seeing when you were there? What was the energy like leading up to this matchup, and also to not just this matchup, but the double match day week that we do have for this team?
I mean, I think, you know, this is one of those times where you have a club that's just, you're struggling, and it feels like no matter what you do, you're just not doing the right thing, right? And, you know, Pineda he's in a tough spot. He really is. And I feel for the guy. I really do, because it doesn't matter your opinion, you know, fans' opinion on whether you think it's his fault or whether you think it's the player's fault or whose fault it is or whatever. Maybe it's just some cosmic problem that's just not able to be fixed right now. But like, he's going to take the brunt of it, and it sucks. And I think you can kind of see it. It's weighing on him, I think, a little bit, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
But that's part of the head coaching job. And I hate to always go back to that, but that you're going to be the fall guy at times. You're going to be the genius when it works right, and you're going to be the fall guy when it doesn't. I think this may be one of those moments where it's beneficial again to just get right back to it, to change things up a little bit, to kind of just pull your boots back on and get back out, because it was mentioned a couple of matches ago, right? Like, where the guys were saying before the Open Cup match, you had a very quick turnaround. And sometimes that's the best thing that you can have, because you don't have time to think about things and dwell on the issues and all. Sometimes the best thing is to just get back out on the pitch. And, you know, it sucks, because this is maybe like very suboptimal, considering you're going to the Supporter Shield winners and you're playing away, and
suboptimal.
Yeah, you're not winning at home, and now you're expected to hopefully go up and win in a place that's not going to be easy. So, you know, I mean, if you're being honest, like, there's definitely, I think, some, I don't want to call it pessimism, because it's not that. I think it's just everybody's a little downtrodden, but there's still hope. It's not like everybody's just giving up and throwing the flag in. So you just, if you're a fan, you just have to go into this one tonight and hope that they can take things back a step and look from 30,000 feet and fix whatever issue that they can identify that's causing a problem, and be competitive tonight. That's the biggest thing.
Jarrett, go for it.
Well, first of all, Dell raising this point, because I may not be here to yell about it later. Waiting is one of the greatest cinematic adventures of the last 20 years. It's also one of the best depictions of working in a restaurant, but it is very time locked in the early mid aughts. So just be aware.
Okay.
That it is very locked. It's a very 2005 movie. I digress. I guess to this game tonight. I guess, Tyler, if let's say we get wild, we break in and we give you the team sheet. What are you doing tonight? Do you take any risks with your setup? Do you kind of get a little wild with it in the sense of kind of I need to get this turned around? Do I make any risky moves, or what do you do?
I wouldn't probably play with the starting team sheet too much, but I would get weird at halftime for sure. I think like if things are not going right, you don't have anything to lose at halftime.
You're also on a double match week.
Right. Yeah. And you're going to have to make changes anyway. And I mean, I think maybe there's an argument like, well, since he's going to be the harder match, you have a better chance of going to Nashville and getting something, which is true. But like you have to win games at this point. Like you've really thrown away some really good opportunities, unfortunately, over the past, 3 or 4, the 3 at home, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I think you just have to go into it with your, whatever you consider your starting 11, your prime starting 11. I think having Stian Gregerson back is going to be a big deal. But overall, it's just, I could see some weirdness. I would like to see some weirdness coming in at the half. And, in this last match, you saw a little bit of it, I think, and not weirdness in like we have, Edwin Mosquera playing as striker or something, but like you got some kind of oddball formations when the subs started coming in the second half. You had Thiago Almada moving over to the left. You had 2 strikers at one point. I mean, Pineda was trying to do something to spark something. And, right whenever he made the change for Dax McCarty to come in and pushed Almada to the left, you end up getting the fluky goal from Saba. So like those little things can catch a team off guard. You're going to have to make the changes anyway at the half. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and just tries to throw a huge wrench into whatever it is since he's trying to plan for.
Yeah, you just take the workbench at this point and you just kind of sit there and you go, wee, and see what happens.
Just tell them all to go play soccer and see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we've always said, is that formations are just a loose construct. It is a graphic for televisions, because when the ball, when the whistle goes and the ball is kicked, then things are decidedly a little different. Laurel Failer is reporting that yesterday, DeAndre Yedlin, Alvis Powell, Corey Baird not in training Tuesday for the final on-field session. Pat Noonan said Yedlin likely out for the midweek match, but could be ready to go for Saturday's game against All Caps. Continues to recover from a hip injury suffered April 27 against the Purple team, followed by a flare-up at the Purple team on May 4. Did not dress for last week's match against Columbus. Alvis Powell's nursing a hamstring injury that sidelined him in the 13th minute of Hell is Real. Corey Baird not in training. Monday, following Noonan's presser, not seen on the fields at the training ground. Tuesday, during the portion open to the media. No one else was missing outside of Aaron Bupenza, who continues to recover from jaw surgery, and FC Cincinnati 2-player Nico Benalcazar was in first-team training on Tuesday as well. I guess Aaron should learn that nothing good ever happens after 1 a.m. when you're outside, but that's just me.
Especially when it involves fighting a fighter.
This is, it's like, you want Italian food and you're hanging out at the Italian restaurant after 1 a.m. It turns to 2 a.m. The place is closing. And then all of a sudden you have a disagreement with a boxer, which is
a boxer.
Never,
you couldn't have picked another guy to try.
Not a good combination.
No, not a good combination at all.
You're going to throw hands with.
Never pick
maybe not a boxer
who knows how to throw a punch.
Correct.
There's an art to it.
Exactly.
Never throw hands with someone who knows how to throw hands is basically what we're saying.
It's true.
So in reading that report having to do with FCC, as Jarrett does the Irish goodbye, it looks like there are some opportunities to attack the back line for Atlanta United. And But once again, it comes down to the question on the left because of DeAndre Yedlin. If Yedlin is not in this particular match, what does it look like down the left-hand side? How many minutes can Shande give you to start? Is it a 60-30 kind of a deal? What does it look like? And so I think opportunities are there against this back line. But as you said, you're in a double match week. You got to figure out what your lineup is. And so I think that because of things being in the midweek what they are, I think that there's an opportunity here for Atlanta United because of the absences.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the only asterisk that you would add next to that entire statement is the fact that they still have Miles Robinson and Matt Miazga, which sucks. But
just get under Miazga's skin.
Yes, I would love to see Giakoumakis just piss him off because he did it. He did it last year in the better match that Atlanta had against Cincinnati. After just the first match got just utterly destroyed. It was not a good day. So I think there needs to be some attitude from the team as a whole, right? I think, not to get off on that tangent, but like this isn't just on Pineda, it's on players too. Like the players have to execute. It's the whole club right now is having a tough go. Whatever. I'm not here to put blame necessarily. But people need to step up. The players on the field have to step up and show a little bit more about what they are. And that some of the players have it. Like we've seen Giakoumakis. We see the passion that he has every week. Again, I think Steon Gregerson being back is going to be huge. Brooks Lennon, I think he needs to have a game where he kind of, gets back on track. So, but as far as the injuries to Cincinnati, yeah, I mean, Yedlin being out, Yedlin has low-key been, well, maybe not low-key. I'll say low-key. He's low-key been really good for Cincinnati after, I thought he was pretty good in Miami, but they seemed to think he wasn't. But also
that was an AM deal.
Right.
Getting rid of a high-priced AM player, they kind of had to bring in the other players so they can be under the cap.
Yeah, and he also never played for Barcelona at any point, so he had that going against him too.
The Gulfstream Galacticos, yes, that is definitely a difference there.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think looking at the roster though, like, yeah, Atlanta has opportunities. The one concern I think, and I think people maybe have been blowing it out of proportion, is their new striker, Kelsey. I think he had a really good game in a really big match for them, and now he can do no wrong. So
what? Overreacting on a Monday? What?
We've made it to Wednesday. I'm trying to bring the overreaction down a little bit. No, but I think on the other side of the pitch, he's one that you're going to have to be careful of because you're going to have Acosta to deal with. And now you've got somebody who maybe can actually be there to be the physical presence that they've been missing since Brandon Vasquez left.
Matty Cruz for Tyler Pilgrim from @Scarves N Spikes. Go for it.
I mean, looking at the way Cincinnati plays, we kind of talked about it a little bit when they came here earlier, but they play a very similar style to Philadelphia, a little bit less of what a Philadelphia team does, as we are well aware.
A little less floppy.
Yes. Listen,
it's more hard disk than floppy.
Along with Jason, I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself about Philadelphia, but it's okay. It's okay.
I don't.
Listen, I'm trying. It's my first show back. I'm trying to ease back into it, guys. I'm trying to feel it. But I mean, with that playing style, and especially with how Atlanta just needing to get that momentum back, do you think this might be a good game to maybe see where that momentum can come from United and see okay, we're going back to a team we know how they play. Do you think that might be a process of thinking of how they're going to come back and combat them in tonight's match?
Yeah, you have honestly a really good opportunity in terms of maybe some things going for you. Again, we talked about, the injury situation, but they're also coming off a really, really big time emotional game in Hell is Real.
Yep.
And it was away. And I know from talking to people that were there, lower.com field did not make it fun at all for Cincinnati. So they never do, but especially when it comes to that derby. So you go into this match, again, like you said, how they play. And how they play, they're going to try to take it out to the wings, and then they're going to try to get Kelsey, Lucho involved kind of in the middle, because that's where the goals come from. But they like to build up on the wings, just like Atlanta does. And I think it's going to come down to who's playing the cleaner game, who's playing the more effective game, and who doesn't make the silly mistakes. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I want to see out of Atlanta is just keep it simple. Like, don't try to do too much, especially away. Don't try to do too much. You need to go into the match, play fundamental soccer, play your game, but play it fundamentally, play it cleanly, and just be switched on for the entire 90 minutes. And you do that, and you can score goals against this team. It's just a matter of keeping, Acosta on lock.
I feel like too, like one thing that I, at least from watching some other MLS squads like play throughout the past couple of weeks, is one thing that Atlanta I think does really well, especially this year, is how they are able to play kind of up in the center of the field, especially with Almada, with Slish, and Moyamba. I feel like that they're a good catalyst there. And so I feel like that could be something we see a little bit more of in this match, especially with you're going to have those players. You're going to have Cincinnati really targeting the wings. So then maybe that might be an opportunity for United to branch out and try something a little bit more centrally, because I feel like that's where a lot of the best work has been really from Slish, from Almada, really just absolutely going crazy. Listen, Almada is absolutely nuts. And I will say this, I'll watch him do footwork stuff and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're not real. Anyway, yeah, that's just my little tangent. But
that's his street ball.
Listen, but yeah.
I agree. I think you saw a little bit of it in the first match. Like, Atlanta had space in the middle. And for all the gripes and complaints that everybody had over the past 2 years about the midfield, like, the midfield is better. I would like to see Tristan Miyamba. I'm not calling him out, but I feel like he's maybe not had his best stretch of games either. Nobody has.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, you mentioned Muyumba. This stretch, you have not had your best from Brooks. You've not had your best from Gigi. You've not had your best from Saba, and you've had the injuries to go with all of this. So, yeah, not your best run, not your best run, not your best run, not your best run. And to have that many players in a row currently not having their best run, I cannot remember a stretch where you've had all of your higher profile players, DP or otherwise, who have just been on the schneid and been not been able to put the ball in the net.
Yeah. And it's a struggle. And I think that's where, the whole conversation again of like, whose fault is it that always comes up? Like, it's not there's no easy way to just put your finger on it. But I think, again, that's why I say, like, it's sometimes better to just take a step back and go back to just playing the game, like play soccer. Don't go out there with too many things in your head in terms of tactics and formations and those false constructs and whatever else. Like, there is one goal in soccer, and it's to move the ball up the field and put it in the back of the net. And I know that sounds so easy, but when you play against a team like Cincinnati, that we know that they're going to play out wide for most of the pitch, and then they're going to try to push it back in with Lucho, maybe with their wingers a little bit. But that's going to leave you tons of space in midfield, like Maddie was saying. And if you can play some clean soccer through the midfield and not force Almada to feel like he has to drop way back just to get on the ball, you're going to have opportunities. You're going to have opportunities that you can absolutely take advantage of.
Here's Cincinnati to this point of the season. And you'll notice that there is a ceiling when it comes to the number of goals allowed in a match. From the beginning, and I'm going to take out the Triple C and the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza and all those kinds of things. Goalless draw with Toronto. 2-1 win over Chicago. Goalless draw with DC. 2-1 win over New England. Of course, everybody does that. 1-0 win at TQL against NYC. Draw with Charlotte 1-1. Lost to Red Bulls at TQL 2-1. Lost to Montreal at Stade Saputo 2-1. Won here 2-1. Beat Colorado 2-1. Beat Orlando 1-0. Beat Columbus 2-1, and that's where we are. You notice that I didn't say a number over 2 when it came
or any number that was separated by more than one.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a tight one. Under normal circumstances, these matches that FC Cincinnati plays are tight, and it is coming down to being clinical and taking advantage of mistakes that the other team makes. So if you're looking for something high scoring, don't bank on it. It's going to be a grinder for 90 minutes, and basically it turns into one of those staring contests where Pat Noonan et al. Want to sit there and it's like, okay, we're going to do this for 90 minutes. We're going to do our thing. You're going to do your thing, and we'll see who comes out of the phone booth at the end of 90 minutes with the better way. They can be had. It will be tight. You have to be clinical. All of these things that we continue to say about Atlanta United in these matches going up against competition that's higher than you in the standings. That's just how I think this is going to play out again against FC Cincinnati.
Yeah. Talking with some of the Cincinnati folks and the Cincinnati Soccer Talk podcast guys, like we chatted with them a couple of days ago, and even they are kind of in that boat of what I said a minute ago. Like they're coming off a really emotional game, right? Like a big derby.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest, I think, unknown is Kevin Kelsey. He's the new guy. He could come good for them in a lot of ways. He did in that match, but also like he's still new. You never know if that's a one-time thing. You never know what you're going to get out of a new guy.
He's the pitcher that you brought up from AAA that you don't have a book on.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could go great. He could be the hero, or it could go really bad and things, at least it's a striker. So like any defensive mistakes aren't that big of a deal. But if you can keep him away from the back of the net, keep him away from the box, put him in low percentage situations, they don't have another guy that's going to do much other than Acosta. But Acosta, you already know Slish is going to be all over him. For the most part in the last match, they did a good job handling him, but he's one of those, if you give an inch, he's going to take a mile. So yeah, it's going to be a grind, and it's going to be whatever team makes that first mistake. And again, this is the third time I've said it this morning, but if you're Atlanta, you have to just take a step back and just play simple. Don't give yourself a bigger possibility of making mistakes because you get caught out of position. You're trying to do too much. You know how Cincy's going to play. You don't have to overthink it and how you're going to move the ball up the pitch. You just have to do it. You've got the talent to do it. They're not going to be high pressing you like crazy. They're not the Red Bulls. They're not going to be flopping like Philly every 5 minutes to slow the game down. They're going to play a similar style that you play, and it's just going to come down to who actually has the better touches on the ball.
At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves N Spikes, hanging out with us for his normal Wednesday visit. I forgot to ask, what's the mug and what's in it?
Nothing special today. The cup mug. So Scarves N Spikes.
Okay, so you're straight pimping. All right, nothing wrong with it. I get it.
And it's Colombian Supremo.
Okay, just checking. Yeah, because I normally do that at the beginning of the segment, but since we got into the Red Lobster discussion, it felt like
which was important. It was important.
I mean, that's when you're in that opening kickoff zone, and we're trying to figure out what to talk about. Then there are those things that are the world shattering events that we have to get in an opening kickoff, the deferred question about the mug and what's in it. Until 9:45, basically. It's because we're on such a roll. Maddie, what's up next on your mind for Tyler Pilgrim?
Ooh, I mean, I think talking a little bit about the double match day week, it's a little different because, we're having all of these games played tonight, and then you have only a couple of games played on Saturday. How do you think the team is really going to respond, and who do you think is going to really step up in these moments? Because I feel like this happens a little bit with teams when you have these double match days. You have players maybe from that second team or players who've maybe sat on the bench a little bit. They might get their opportunity to really come in. Do you think that there's anyone who's going to maybe come off the bench or maybe come up from the twos that might have a good impact for United?
Yeah, I think, this is a moment that it kind of really, really sucks that you're missing a guy like Tyler Wolff, right? You're getting Shonday back from injury, and hopefully he can give you the time. But other than that, I think you might have to get a little creative with some of these positions. specifically that left wing side. But to answer your question, I mean, you're going into two very, very quick back-to-back matches. And of course you got the Open Cup coming up and everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see some call-ups maybe for Nashville if it were to happen.
I'll give you one.
Who's
Luke Brennan.
Yeah.
Because if in some combination of these 3 matches in 6 days, basically, and then 4 in 2 weeks, if you want to continue to reinforce bringing in someone who is going to come in off the bench and run at tired legs, then what you do, say at some point, not knowing how many minutes Shande Silva can give you, still getting him to full song and get him to 90 minutes fit. If it's something like Shande Gigi Saba, and then it's 60, you bring in Luke and let Saba float basically off to the left, or do something akin to that, to where you might want to have Saba on the left, you bring in Luke Brennan on the right, and so you've got the opportunity to have Edwin run for 30 minutes. You've got the opportunity to have Luke run for 30 minutes, however you feel it can go. If it's Shande and Edwin, if it's Saba and Luke, whatever combination you're thinking of while you're looking at the injury to Tyler Wolff for the next couple of weeks, I think that with Luke and Edwin running at tired legs over this next week, knowing that you've got Open Cup coming around the corner down in Charleston, it does present some interesting options for you because of what you have in your hip pocket.
Yeah. Luke Brennan, I just feel like the moment he gets like his true opportunity in first team play, and when I say true opportunity, I mean even whether it's a start or significant time. Like, I'm not talking about last year when him and Nick Firmino came on. Firmino scored the goal against New York. Like, that was great, but that was not that was just to see out the game.
Yeah.
I want to see Luke Brennan, in the bins or whatever, wherever with the first team, getting actual MLS first team minutes, because I think he'll do well. And I think he'll take people by surprise because, like you said, he's so direct. The only other alternative that I could see maybe against Nashville, maybe it wouldn't make as much sense against Nashville, but you play kind of a 5-3-2 or something where you have 3 actual center backs. So now that you've got Stian back, you have Luis Abram, you have Noah Cobb, and then you can bring in, let's see, who could you bring in? Ronald Hernandez on the left as a fullback, and then of course Brooks Lennon on the right, because Brooks will never stop running anyway. And then you push Caleb up and let Caleb kind of be unchained and not have to worry as much about defense, because he was a winger. He wasn't a wing back originally. And I think it might give him that. They did it in the Open Cup. They did it against Charlotte. And I understand the difference in, the league play and all that kind of stuff. But I think it might be good for Caleb to just get some minutes to where he doesn't have to be looking over his shoulder every 5 seconds, trying to worry about, his positioning on defense and everything else. Let him be the unchained, 19-year-old, 18-year-old kid that can just run at people directly. And if he makes a mistake, whatever, he's still got, 2 or 3 guys right behind him. And that also gives you the opportunity to rest some of your midfield who are going to be running, 7 or 8 miles in the match tonight.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, if you line up in your standard 4-3-3 and you let Caleb run, then, as one goes forward, one stays behind. And so that to me means that as I sit here and use the since I don't have the dry erase board or do whiteboard chronicles or anything like that. So if Caleb runs, then you have Luis or whomever who is your left your left center back. He rolls over. Then Bart or whomever your 6 is drops in. And then you end up with those 4 at the back or those 3 at the back. And then Brooks comes back to help defend as well. I need a whiteboard. Bottom line is I just got to get a whiteboard to go through all these kinds of
one right here.
Well, so then why is it below sea level?
Here we go. Look.
Okay.
All
right. So you got your marker.
Yep.
All right. So lay out a 4-3-3.
All right, here we go.
All right. So lay out a 4-3-3. Caleb, Luis, Noah. All right. So then that, and then, all right. So give me your 4-3-3. All right. So there we go. All right. So basically, the left back, Caleb. If Caleb goes forward, then what that means is you end up
telling me I'm thumbs downing. No, I'm not thumbs downing anymore.
No. What was that?
I guess StreamYard did not like that. The StreamYard was like, no, I'm good. I
What
don't
was
want it.
that? I've never seen that before. So Caleb goes forward, and so that means to me that your 6 drops down and helps out straight, like, the 6 drops down, your left center back rolls over and it almost turns into a left back. Your 6 comes down, and then you keep your formational integrity is what I'm looking at here. So does that make sense to you?
That could also lead into, if that is a format we saw it in the Open Cup too, you could then bring in Dax to be kind of more of that second or that 6th defender that you need back there if you wanted to really have that stability in the back line.
What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet? And like I said, and I need to bring in the black helicopters here. And thank you for the whiteboard, by the way.
You're welcome.
Do you think? Release the hounds is what he said.
Big goals.
Yeah, release the hounds. But I mean, if here's your black helicopter theory. What do you want to bet Dax is your 6 in Nashville?
Oh, that would be great.
It'd be amazing.
That would be great.
Get your black helicopters out, brother.
Oh, I'd love it.
And,
hey, at this point, what do you have to lose anyway?
Well, but I mean, I'm looking at 4 matches in 2 weeks is what I'm looking at. And if you can make a statement tonight and get out of TQL, you get out of the phone booth, you get out of your internet provider with a point or more, then once again, you've got to turn around. And this is where the physios come into play like nobody's business. This is where there's going to be constant monitoring, because after tonight, you get home, it's rest and regen on a Thursday, it's a little bit of prep, and then Friday, you're back on a plane or you're doing whatever to get up to Nashville, the time machine, because I think it would take like 58 minutes, and you get there two minutes ahead of the hour, like Marvin Barnes. I ain't stepping in no time machine. But I think that once again, this is why you've brought in somebody like a Dax McCarty to be a part of things either tonight or on the weekend and in Open Cup against Charleston. I mean, this is where and the return of Stian, and I think Derek is what was the word on Derek? Another couple of weeks? Do we know?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a weird one because I think they said 4 to 6 weeks, or I can't remember what they said originally, but that was back at the beginning of April. And I think maybe he's had a little bit of a regression or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything official. We'll see if I can find out. But yeah, it's taken longer, I think, than it should have.
Well, but I mean, the body responds how the body responds.
Yeah.
I also think that having Williams back is going to be huge. I really do. I think the type of leader that he is on the pitch, it's nice to have someone who can delegate, but also can just be that force.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be huge when he gets to come back and he gets to be back there. Because you have Brad, who's in the goal, and he's very vocal and he's a very good leader.
I've never known that.
But you also have Williams, who can kind of do a mix of both. And I also think he's just a really good facilitator in everything that he does. And so I think getting him back is going to be huge for this side too.
Yeah, and speaking of Dax as well, Atlanta fans maybe haven't seen it as much, but I think if you paid attention in the Charlotte game, in the Open Cup game, you see one thing about Dax is his discipline, especially his positional discipline, but his also ability to orchestrate. And man, I love watching a defensive midfielder that can orchestrate the rest of the team.
Oh yeah,
it makes me so happy.
Because Fifth Third obviously is a stadium that's very, very intimate. You can hear basically everything that is going on the pitch.
Yes.
Everything that is going on. And I remember hearing Dax when he came in, he was immediately trying to push people forward, getting things back. He's a very good thing. And I think that's why in this weird week where you have so many matches coming up and you have a player like Dax, I would not be shocked if he gets the start in Nashville. I wouldn't be shocked. I also kind of expect it because, I mean, why wouldn't you? you have someone who is that leader in the midfield who also can help facilitate things and keep it going. And I mean, also too, I mean, I'm not saying it's a cool, like, little homecoming, but I mean, come on. You got to have Dak somewhat involved against Nashville.
It's psychological warfare.
Maddie's going for irony here. Yeah.
I'm saying also, if that's the case, I'm calling it Dax gets a goal in Nashville.
Wow.
That would be something.
You've gone full hang.
You all know, if it happens, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Oh,
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, the press box at Geodis is not open air, so you would be stuck behind plexi.
Oh, gosh, you're so right.
With whatever response you would have. Dell, I'm going to say this. Dell's excited to see Geodis get parking. I mean, literally, get a parking pass before you go. Get that lockdown. I'm not kidding. Because parking at Geodis is literally like trying to find the treasure in the Goonies movie. I mean, honestly, it is that much of a prime thing. That literally it is like trying to pan for gold in the 19th century, trying to find a decent parking space at Geodis if you don't have one walking in to your drive.
Or take an Uber. Screw all the parking. Just take the Uber.
Yes.
I should have parking. Theoretically.
You still have to walk like a mile to get to the stadium.
Well, but I will say this. One of the cool things about it for media is that they put you over at the Speedway to park.
Oh, yeah.
And to be able to park in pit lane on a quarter-mile asphalt oval, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
I've done that on multiple occasions, and it's pretty cool. You sit there and you park in pit road, and you look up and you just see the stands for the Nashville Speedway, and it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Very, very nice.
Isn't it crazy how much of an angle it is? You know, you're sitting there and you're like, man, the cars actually drive on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing is like some folks who park in the infield at Nashville Speedway on their way out the door because they know that traffic is ish. They'll take a couple of laps on that on that Speedway track to figure out what's going on. What's going on at Scarves N Spikes? Are you making the roadie?
I'm not. So today, actually, this is birthday month. This is birthday month for my family. So
combined with car, yikes. Okay.
Yeah. So we actually went out to Birmingham. We were right next door to the stadium where they had the preseason match.
Yeah. See, now that's the thing. That's what you do when you go to Birmingham is you stay at the Hyatt or the Sheraton right there in the BJCC complex.
Yep.
And you walk to protect it. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. And it was all right there.
You were in Birmingham. Did you get the chance to see Jay Heaps at all? Or no?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Listen,
I'm assuming that means that the kit has still not arrived.
The lady
no, it has not, Tyler.
and neither has the new one, as a matter of fact. So the two new ones have not shown up on that.
0 for 2. No, I did not see Jay. We went out there to see my oldest son. I think I said this last week. He's turning 16.
Wow.
Today is his actual birthday.
Wow.
So we went out to Birmingham. We saw his favorite comedian, which is Nate Bargatze.
Okay.
Good guy. Mm-hmm. And so, but today's his actual birthday. So we're just going to do some stuff around here. And then my birthday is in 6 days on the 21st. So we also have a baby shower that we have to go to on the day of the Nashville game. So we just have, unfortunately, too much stuff going on.
Wow.
But I will be in Charleston for the Open Cup game.
Okay, just checking. All right. So we see how this goes. You front load everything so you can go to Charleston. I see how
that goes. Yeah. Got to get it out of the way.
Yes. At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves N Spikes. Tyler, as always, Dell.
Not quite 16, Dell. A little bit older than that.
Wow. That's where we are. At ATL Pilgrim, at Scarves, the letter N Spikes. Tyler, as always, it's great to have you kicking off our Wall Pass Wednesday, whether we're talking about Beef O'Brady's, Chili's, Red Lobster, or anything going on with Atlanta United. It's going to be a very, very busy 2 weeks, my friend. We'll catch up with you after your birthday, and we can find out what happened to you as you turn 17. So,
yes.
Yeah. So be good, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Keeping it young. See y'all.
There you go. As always. So there goes Tyler. And I mean, yeah, I see. This is definitely when you are when you are of the married sort or in a relationship, it is all about the capital that you can get going forward. And so that's where all of the birthday stuff, it's like, Tyler said, I can guarantee you how this conversation goes. Tyler knows it's like Tyler's got to work. And so he's got to go to Charleston. And so that means that, he's got to do all of the family stuff leading up to the birthday. And so, hey, as a birthday present, I need to go to Charleston for Open Cup. I see how this goes. Hour number 2, and we have transitioned from one of the busiest men in the Southern Crescent to the busiest man in the Northeast. And this is where we bring in Dylan Butler. Dylan, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Have you gotten your when are you getting your nap in? Because I imagine today's going to be a very, very busy day for you on the desk.
Well, let's see. So I'm on currently until 2, and then I have a lacrosse broadcast at 5. And then I will obviously do the speed limit, but rush back for the 7:30 kickoffs. So no nap to be had.
Wow. Okay. Just thought I would ask, considering that it is a double match week. Maddie has officially graduated college. She graduated Kennesaw State last week, and this is her first day back post-graduation.
Well, cheers to that.
So what? Yes. So there we go. Rangers.
Thank you. I like it.
But it's the Rangers mug. It's the Rangers mug. So we got that this morning. Oh, what is Daddy Water in the Rangers mug, or is it actual coffee or something?
It's actual coffee.
Okay. Couple of things involving NYC that we need to get into.
All right.
Do you want to start with the on the field, or do you want to start with the off the field?
Whichever way you want to go.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. We'll do the self-serving thing and talk about Dylan Butler Estates to start things off. We officially have schematics and things to stare at from NYCFC as they have decided to distract from the topic number 2 that we're going to talk about with NYC. And they now have the layout, at least for the end zone, for Dylan Butler Estates. And I look forward to your thoughts about the stadium in and of itself and what it's supposed to look like, at least in the end zone. You have, as it is laid out, an outdoor bar with a meeting area, a mural with fan designs, a marquee to hang tifos, and apparently there are ways to hang it like it looks like it's going to have like shower hooks, and you can like bring the tifo down instead of pull the tifo up as the way it normally is. 3 capo, ultra, and drum platforms, and a 3,400 safe standing location in that one end zone. And so they've brought out the drawings and a couple of pictures and a 15-second video of perhaps raising of a tifo coming in 2027. Your initial thoughts about your stadium end zone, sir?
I think it looks great. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, I think when here's the analogy I'll give you. So when you're really hungry, right, and you haven't eaten in a long time, and that's kind of akin to these NYCFC fans without a home, right?
Yes.
Like, honestly, whatever is served, you're like, this is great. This is awesome. But it actually does look really sharp and really nice. The club did put out on their social media platforms, what should that end zone supporters area be called? Can it be called anything less than the pigeon coop?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like, is that not the most obvious? I know the team. I don't know if they've embraced the pigeon. Obviously New York City's bird.
Yes.
But that's what it's got to be called, no?
I would think. I mean, unless it is the Dylan Butler Estates end zone or something like that. I mean,
I'm pretty sure. While I do appreciate your signage for me, fairly certain ATLUTD is gonna probably get involved.
Okay, so then it's the Dylan Butler, the Dylan Butler suite, or it's the Dylan Butler first class parking, or whatever.
Yeah, there you go.
I know it's a good first step coming in 2027. So we have schematics, and everyone is hopping up and down excited. Okay, Now to the next part.
Yeah.
What in the blue hell, and I did that unintentionally, what in the blue hell is going on here with Nick Cushing, John Herdman, not all the cameras functioning and working, and then dating back to March, and Sean Johnson chasing after players and suspensions with multiple games, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. What the hell's going on over there?
Well, we've got an addition to rivalry week, apparently.
No kidding, man.
And I don't know, did you just, I think I just popped in my email box, I think, right about 4 minutes ago.
Okay.
The DISCO decisions, MLS Disciplinary Committee decisions.
Okay.
Which include suspensions for John Herdman, Richie Larea, and Sean Johnson.
Okay. Were they ones or were they more than ones?
It is one. They're suspended for May 15 games.
Okay, because if it's more than one, you can appeal. If I remember correctly, but this is where you've got accusations of Nick Cushing apparently like taking a swing at Jason Russell Rowe, and I mean, do we have any idea? I mean, Nick Cushing has obviously said, I didn't do anything. And John Herdman's like, well, yeah, he did. And Jonathan Osorio is saying that he did it he took a swing at a 19-year-old. And then that means that we know exactly who it is. It's Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, because it's the only 19-year-old that's on the roster at the time. What are you hearing anything on the ground about other than the details that have been, he said it in all this kind of thing?
No, I haven't. And my biggest disappointment in this whole thing is this didn't happen in Toronto FC's infamous tunnel, because it seems like all the bad stuff happens in the tunnel. This was out in the open for all to see. Usually it's Josie Altidore and Sasha Kleshin in the tunnel back in the day, right? Toronto FC, was it which Liga MX's team was that?
Oh man,
remember that back in the day?
Yeah.
And the safety officers or the cops were involved. Like, that was awesome too. So like I said, unfortunately, this actually didn't happen in the tunnel. But I will say this though, like knowing Sean Johnson for the few years that I do, that was a surprise reaction from him. Like, something clearly got him going for him to be that upset. Like, he's usually a really kind of cool customer out there. He's not that initiator of these things. So I do, I wish there were more angles, right? Like, it was right there in the open, middle of the field. But yeah, crazy stuff with Toronto and NYC.
Well, and this begs the larger question in the he said. If it is determined that Nick Cushing took a swing at a 19-year-old, which once again, John Herdman and Jonathan Osorio are saying happened, Nick Cushing obviously denies it. And then John Herdman saying what he said in the post-game press conference. If one of these is to be true, then the other individual is done. They would have to be done if Nick Cushing is found out to have taken a swing at Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, denies it for obvious reasons. If it's found out that he did do something, then he's got to go. If John Herdman says what he's saying and it's found out that he didn't, because not all the cameras were working apparently at the time, then John Herdman's got to go, don't you think? Because, somebody's got to go here, depending on if the evidence ends up going one way or the other, because there's accusations and denials that are on both sides, but somebody's got to go if this is found out to be either completely and totally false or completely and totally true.
Well, I
because I don't think you can have that though. You can't have coaches and or players making these kinds of accusations though, right?
Yeah, for sure. But
And I know that there is a mid-ground if there is not enough evidence to substantiate one thing one way or the other. But I'm saying that if we are in the extremes here and something is found out to either have happened or not have happened, and the evidence is conclusive, then that the other individual's got to go, right?
I don't know if like, I mean, Herdman is saying it. He could walk that back pretty easily, right? Like on, this is what I thought I saw, or this is what I was told. Like, yeah. I don't know. Like I think I would agree with you on the first point that, you know, if Cushing did take a swing, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, not good.
No.
for sure.
No.
But you know, the accusation, I don't know. Like it's a little bit. I mean, the whole thing is unique. I was gonna say it was not a little unique. It's all unique. But like I can recall situations where players would accuse. Obviously, there's been accusations of racial elements, which sadly have been true, and other times hasn't. But the person putting it out there wasn't punished, right? Like, these are coaches, though. They should be held to a higher standard. So it's all very gray. It's a very, very gray cup area.
Yeah. Alleged incident said to have happened in the tunnel of Yankee Stadium, which is a very small space, during a game between the two teams March 16. Sources, and this is from Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert over at The Athletic, which has taken on a very New York Timesian font recently with all of their headlines. Gee, I wonder why. Briefed on the situation. 2 cameras outside the locker room at Yankee Stadium. NYCFC sent MLS that footage in March. Club didn't hear anything back, those sources say. Cushing said he was never contacted by the league, unaware of the allegation until Saturday night. Herdman indicated the league got that footage as well. Herdman says, quote, the cameras either weren't working or didn't cover that area of the tunnel, but the footage went to the league. MLS said it's aware of the situation and is reviewing the matter. So that is the latest there. Maddie, when it comes to everything else on your mind inside of a double match week in Major League Soccer, questions for Dylan Butler at Dylan_Butler on the Twitters.
Ooh, I think at least for this double match week, looking at the matches today, are there any matches that stick out to you? Any matches that, you know, you're kind of circling in your own eye? You're like, ooh, I'm gonna tune into that one.
Yes. And I'll say this, as I always do. I watch 360, so I watch all of them, but I'm sort of having to.
You watch your boy Kevin Egan, as you should.
But that
I do as well. And I'll have Atlanta United on one screen, and then I'll have MLS 360 on the other, and I'm just going back and forth.
So I will say, definitely two in the early matches. You know, one, you know, look, for obvious reasons, the Florida derby is super interesting. One, now, if Messi will play, listed as questionable yesterday. You know, unsure or his involvement. That said, obviously Miami are stacked, right? So even without the greatest player in the world, you know, they should still find the way. Orlando has not looked very good at all, but they ended up getting a really good 3 points against the struggling Philadelphia team. And they get their DP striker off the schneid, scores a brace. So, you know, Pareja also in comments before has been a little bit critical of, I think, what he deemed the Messi circus. So that could be fun for sure. And the other one is the new wrinkle to DC Red Bull, one of the oldest Atlantic Cup, one of the oldest running rivalries in MLS, now takes a different look, with DC currently kind of out Red Bulling Red Bulls with their direct play, because of course they've got you know, Shaq in the middle of the field just to head everything in the net. So
you got a freaking redwood there.
So of course they're going to be direct, and of course they're going to play that way. And it's Troy Lesane against the team that did not retain him. And long-standing, like, look, Red Bulls NYCFC is obviously, that's the derby, right, up in these areas. But for the hardcore old school Metro Star fan base, long suffering fan base. This is the OG rivalry, right? Like DC and Red Bulls. So, or back in the day, Metro Stars. So.
Yes. So he is Lassane in the brain, or Lassane in the membrane.
Oh, nice. In the membrane.
Yes. And so Dell down in Charleston is asking if you know Troy Insane, and what do you think of him as a coach?
I don't know him personally. I was surprised. I forgot who I thought they might go with, but like I was surprised that he was the guy last year. But he impressed me as well, right? Like it's hard to know what a coach from like a lower division coach will do in MLS, and I thought he did a great job with Red Bulls. I wasn't surprised also that they didn't retain him. I think again, Red Bull tends to think, Red Bull global, and for so many years, I feel like they've wanted to have that European or German manager, that kind of person at the helm. So not surprised that he wasn't retained, but I think he's doing a great job at DC. That is for sure.
And this is, you mentioned the matchup in Central Florida. This is the matchup between Inter Miami at Inter and Co.
Yes.
Nothing like having the team coming into your barn and not really having to shake a finger or a fist at the title sponsor of the stadium. So
No.
like that won't be mentioned. But Dell finally mentions that Lassane, friend of a friend, best friend, played with him at the College of Charleston. So now
nice.
I'm
glad I didn't say bad things about him then.
Exactly. So that's definitely where. So he waits until the end. He buries it. So
I like it.
It's one of these.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah. So I mean, he waits until the bitter end to bury the lead on that one. But I mean, he was
keeping me honest. Del was.
Yeah. You've got you mentioned DC United with the redwood that they currently have in the middle, where it's just like feed the man, and it's like good luck posting up on, trying to find somebody to post up on power forward like Christian Benteke. Red Bulls with Forsberg, and you're seeing the offense there, but it seems like it's a bit stop-starty when it comes to the offense for Red Bulls. You don't know which one you're going to be getting. Is it going to be the one where Lewis Morgan and Forsberg are unstoppable, or the one where they're kind of sitting there and they're looking at each other and scratching their head? Is like, well, what happened was. So, I mean, are you anticipating something where the over might be the play here, or are you looking at the field kind of tilting toward DC here?
I don't know. It's a good question. I'm anticipating a lot of car crashes.
Okay, understood.
This is, if there's an over for fouls,
okay,
that might be the play.
Wow, that's a good one. I like that.
If there's an under for possession, that might be the play too.
I mean, it's like, I don't want
aerial duels, maybe, I don't know.
I don't want it, you take it. No, I don't want it, you take it. Literally, right. It's like Mikey in the Life cereal bowl. It's like, no, I don't want it. No, he like, there's Mikey. He likes it. Somebody might like the ball at some point in that match. We've seen with teams out west and teams out east, there are some surprises still. But, at the end of the day, you look at a team like Columbus, and to me, I don't know why this wasn't said after the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza semifinal, but there should have been signs that said Wilfred Nancy es el señor, legitimately. Wilfred Nancy is the man. And Columbus you look at their standings right now and you're kind of like, well, but that's because they kind of had things on their mind.
Yeah.
And they right now, they're still a part of the discussion in the East. They're in 8th, and everybody's sitting there going, "Oh, I don't know." But 3-2-6. They've got 6 draws in their first 11 matches. They're hovering around in 8th, but if they win one or they've got a good week, then they rocket up to like 4th or something.
Yeah, obviously, look, the MLS regular season's on the back burner for them.
Mm-hmm.
chasing becoming the second team in MLS to win that title. So I think that's completely understandable. But to me, they're still top 2, 3 in MLS, right? I know you've got power rankings and such where it's largely on current form, but when you look at the full sort of body of work out there and who they are, like, yeah, I mean, they're right there. So I'm certainly not concerned about them with what we've seen from them in MLS. It would be different if that number was like 3, 6, and 2, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's only the 2 losses. So
yeah, 2 losses so far in their first 11. Maddie, for Dylan, go.
Ooh, I mean, if you're looking at the matchup tonight against Atlanta and Cincinnati, looking at everything that has been going on with Atlanta and looking at the success of Cincinnati, what are your thoughts on this match, and what do you think we're going to see from both sides tonight when Atlanta travels to Cincinnati?
I'd imagine there's some anxious folks down Atlanta these days, right? This difficult trip, right? Cincinnati coming off a big hell is real victory as well over Columbus. So not the place you want to go or the opponent you want to see when you're trying to snap a slide like they're in. So definitely really difficult for Atlanta, that is for sure. And oftentimes here we talk about hot seats and situations, and I don't know. I think it would seemingly be heating up a little bit down in Atlanta.
All right. So then who else is on your hot seat?
Who else is on the hot seat? Well, you can go to New England, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
But is Caleb on a hot seat?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, how much of a lead up do you give them? But they've been terrible. So I don't know. Right? Like, what are the expectations this year? Like, is this tear it down, build it up year? Were you thinking you'd be a playoff team this year? I thought Lucci might have been, but they've put together a couple of good results of late, right? Your boy in Nashville.
Yeah, you think Gary's still in the hot seat?
TBD on that one.
Okay.
Trying to think who else was in that.
I mean,
I don't know what's going on in Dallas, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would be one. I mean, I don't know what the patience level is with Frank Klopas in Chicago, considering that they're 2-6-4.
I kind of feel bad for him in a lot of ways. Like I feel like he said on he's like, he loves that club so much. Like, he's Mr. Chicago Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's also kind of said like doesn't necessarily want to do this, but he'll do it for the team, right? Like, and he's just kind of like almost the whipping boy there. Like,
and he's like, yeah, I'll do my club a solid, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. So I feel kind of bad for him.
Well, and I think it goes back to the hiring of Ezra Hendrickson, and we all know that nobody's better than Ezra. But I don't think they gave Ezra that much of a chance, and then you're having to rebuild from that notion where you bring in Ezra, who is one of the top assistants in the league. I don't think he got a fair shake.
Agreed.
And then you're trying to rebuild from that. And now you've brought Frank Klopas in, and Frank, it seems to be a bit of a placeholder until you can come up with the next guy, or at least until maybe you've paid some of your bills, and then you try and figure out who else you're going to bring in. And I mean,
and that's part of the problem too with that's like, fans and pundits, like we love to talk about like, oh, hot seat and who's going to go, but like, that's part of the problem with that, right? Like, you've got to then start from the beginning again, right? Like, it's like, you've got a lawn and then you don't like what's happening, so you reseed the whole thing. Like, that's going to take time, right?
Mhm.
Like, it might not be perfect. It might not be better than it was, right? Like and you, meanwhile, everyone else around you, they're humming, right? Like, their grass is green, right? So,
Mhm.
it's not always, I don't think, like, listen, this isn't, Liga MX where it's like there's a quick trigger after
You're fired, and you're fired, and you're
Yeah.
fired, and we're gonna hire Herrera. And
novella there, but yeah, no, I don't, like, that's not always the answer, but then the other side of that coin is, well, how long do you let that ship seemingly sink, right?
I mean, MLS is not dos mujeres un camino, but I mean, it's and the point made by Dell here is that MLS doesn't have hot seats like other countries. Oops, hang on, because of no pro rel. I mean, Liga MX doesn't have pro rel at the moment. They just have impatience with owners.
Yeah.
Because if you finish, and this is one of the things that's always gotten to me about Liga MX, if you finish in the bottom three, which means that you're either not spending money or not spending it well and you're not doing well, you get fined. That seems kind of counterintuitive. It's like the bottom three teams have to pay fines. Basically, I think there's 7 to the left of the decimal place in growing numbers. Like, the worse you are, like if you finish last, I think it was a $5 million fine last year if you finished last. How much of a, I mean, that seems like
Who gets that money? The league?
I guess, I don't know. But it's like
it's
literally
a very arbitrary number. Like,
yeah, it was like 1, 2, and 5, I think was what it was. But yeah, you finished.
You don't feel bad enough. Just in case you don't feel bad enough for finishing last. Here's a $5 million bill.
Yeah, it's like, here you sucked, and so now you're gonna pay even more for it. It's just the weirdest thing.
Yeah,
it seems like that's not the kind of the deterrent seems to be somewhat anticlimactic about finishing last. I mean, you could spend all the money in the world, you could finish last, and then all of a sudden, here's a bill. Here's a bill for finishing last.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's it's just odd, but but I think that where Dell is mentioning the lack of pro rel, I would mention a financial bottom line, where if you don't have people sitting in seats and people aren't renewing, it's a consumer driven thing, I would think, with new owners that want to invest more money, and they're investing more money and they're not seeing returns. So it's almost like college football, where we used to see that one cycle of recruiting where you'd have patience for maybe 4 years with a college football coach, and if things aren't working, then you let him go. Now it's like 2 years, Tyrone Willingham at Notre Dame, you bring in other folks, you're not that patient. I think that's kind of what we're seeing now with Major League Soccer with this new level of investment. It's the idea of the immediate return, and if it's not there, then you're going to have coaches go, I think, sooner than they normally would.
Yeah, I mean, and I think and I think we're seeing it from clubs who like, look at Toronto a few years ago with Chris Armas, right? They're a club who they spent a lot of money on their Italian stars, and they've been used to success. They were in a downturn at the point, and didn't give him a lot of time to work things out. So I think, yeah, if you're a club that spends a lot of money, you expect that immediate return, or at least signs that it's growing and it's building that investment.
Yeah.
Not when you open up your Fidelity count and see all these minuses before the number, right? So
yeah,
that's a problem for those who put out the wage bill, for sure.
Last question for Dylan Butler comes from Maddie.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
No
pressure. I gotta ask about your lacrosse. So what lacrosse game are you doing today? And what can you share about the matchup?
Yeah, so it is I got some funny things for you. So there's 2 teams in the Half Hollow Hills School District in Suffolk County. Hills East and Hills West. they've merged for lacrosse a couple years ago, but this is the 4th year of the merger. So they just go as Half Hollow Hills. They've built it up the last couple of years, and this year 15-1 regular season, top seed in the Suffolk County Big Boy Lacrosse Division. So they're taking on Connecticut, which is what?
Spell that.
Connetquot. Connecticut.
Thank you.
It is also my home district, so I can easily spell that. Connecticut stubbed their toe down the stretch, didn't play well, have a play-in win to their name. So it's like the 1 versus 9, basically 1 versus 8, right, matchup. But it was a 1-goal game in the regular season. So that's part of it. And also Hills has a guy named Anthony Rayo. This team is almost all juniors, this Hills team.
Wow.
Anthony Rayo going to UNC. Joe Filardi, who's going to Syracuse. He scores like 26 goals a year with the long pole. So he's part of the first midfield, but he has the long pole as like that long stick midi. So he's fun. And the best part of it all, I've saved the best for last. Their goalie is Sal Santoro, nicknamed Marinara. Like, how do you not love that? Right? Big Sal in the net. So
Big Sal.
Sally boy. That'd be
so,
5.
So basically, if there's a big save, he's got the sauce on that one today.
Oh, I got to write that down.
There you go. I fibbed. One final question. Del wants to ask about Jesse Marsh. What do you think about that hire for the Canadiens?
Wow. Huh? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see that coming. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And man, can you? we know how even keeled U.S. soccer social media is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just fathom maybe, like, I don't know, in Copa America, like maybe Canada getting some results, the U.S. not getting some results, like how crazy that fandom will be when a guy that probably a lot of people thought should have been the guy for the U.S. is actually coaching the neighbors up north. So I think for Canada it's a great hire. Look, Jesse was a free agent, clearly, right? Good move for him, I think, because he can maybe parlay that into something else as well, right?
Okay. Real quick, Emilio wants you to pronounce that.
A good one, Emilio. That is Quag.
That's it. Yeah, because Emilio's from up there, and so that's why he knows that one. All right,
yeah.
Dylan.
I live in Suffolk now, Emilio. You're not getting that past me, buddy.
There you go. At Dylan_Butler. I know you got a very busy day. Get to your varsity media-ness, and tonight you'll be on the desk for a very, very busy beginning of a match week at MLSsoccer.com. Dylan, as always, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
There we go with the Ranger mug. He's a happy man. He's a happy man. All right, we bring Jared in for the final half hour.
That series is still 3-2, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's that one's crazy.
Bunch of jerks are hanging on.
They are a bunch of jerks.
Well, I gotta bring up too. I know that this has nothing to do with
but it's a wall past Wednesday. What does it matter?
Nothing matters anymore.
I saw a video. Is anyone shocked that the Astros are cheating once again?
It was Oakland. Why are you cheating against Oakland? That's my larger question.
So one of the questions coming out about this, Saris already posted the numbers. I think it was Dallas Braden as well mentioned, it's like this, it might not be a blatant like spider tack situation. It might just be a buildup of rosin and water because you're playing in Houston in the summer with the roof open.
Yeah.
Saris over the Athletic who covers baseball and does it from a very numbers perspective, posted the spin rates, and his spin rates weren't really different. So a lot of the talk on that end of things is it might just be a metric ton of rosin.
Yeah.
We'll see what they say, because if they come back and it's not like a 10-game suspension, that might have been the case. If it is, then it is. Then maybe he pulled some spider tack out to up the spin rate on what he was doing.
Yeah, but it's Oakland. You don't need it against Oakland. I mean, are you that desperate that you feel like you need to bust that stuff out against Oakland, who's won like -4 games this year?
Oakland's no. Calm down. Oakland is right at 500. I think.
Oh, they are.
Maybe a game or two.
Who is this Oakland team that we're talking about then? They're
Oakland,
trying to keep people out of seats as they head to Sacramento.
Yeah, but Oakland's actually been okay this year. They're not the Marlins who are 20 games out of first place. Just traded their best pure hitter and might trade Jazz Chisholm before June.
Oh, of course they would. It's that time of the cycle. Yes, Dell. Reminder: set your fantasy team. Set your fantasy team. Set your fantasy team. Double match week. And if you're not a part of the fantasy league, sign up for the fantasy league just because. Yeah, I know we're 1/3 of the way through the season. So what? Doesn't matter. Sign in.
You can still catch John.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. Jason Wright with a WAGEN on the Twitters, or the Jason Wright with a W agency on the Facebooks. And traditionally, what you can find on the Twitters is advice as to what you can chase when it comes to your fantasy suggestions. Jason has help, and he gets a weekly write-up as to what you're staring at here. So nothing yet on this week. So, but also keep in mind that a point that was made last week from Matt, that Oliver Semla was his value pick in net for Philly. Do not be surprised if Oliver Semla gets one start, if not both, considering what Andre Blake is dealing with, plus the next two matches being on turf. So
Andre Blake being sick of it all.
Yes. Yeah, he is less than pleased about the entire situation. And so set your fantasy teams, join the fantasy league, do it there, and book them, Dano. Aloha. Let's get into midweek whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully rather than later. We'll get into all of the matches, and we'll finish with Atlanta and Cincinnati as we get ready for everything. Once again, reminder, it is going to be, what is it, a 7 o'clock start or a 7:30? It's a 7:40 start. So 6:30 pregame. Yeah, so 6:30 pregame, 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. There is a way to sync up Mike and Jason to your Apple TV. They do not have the road option yet. They need to have the road option for teams that travel on the road, and we can roll through all of that. But visiting us, and so I guess we can go ahead and, we'll just do it this way. Greetings from Cincinnati, Ohio, to Jason Longshore. Jason, good morning.
What's up, everybody?
We were going to go into midweek whip around and just blow through all of the matches and finish up with Atlanta United. But do you want to start with Atlanta United and go into midweek whip around? How do you want to play it since you're the visitor here?
Yeah, do I get to jump ahead of the line?
Yes, you do, as a matter of fact.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you get, how long are you with us?
Special treatment.
Hey, I deserve a little special treatment. I'm on the road, and I'm going to be on the road pretty much nonstop for the next week, I think.
That is true, because
you're getting special treatment because you're in a town that has Skyline Chili, and you're somehow avoiding it. I'm proud of you.
It's not hard to avoid it. You just don't go anywhere near that place because it's gross.
I'll say it. Skyline Chili's mid.
It's beyond less than mid.
Wow.
Jason's gonna push you further beyond mid.
Yeah, it's way less than mid.
Okay, so how long do we have you, sir?
I don't know. 20 or so.
All right, so broadcast plans, did I have it right? 6:30 pregame, then you and Mike, and then post-match after?
Yeah, I was going through Atlanta soccer tonight because of all the travel right now is kind of on hiatus, and I recorded an episode this morning, and I'm like, yeah, it's 6:30 tonight, then it's 12:30 on Saturday, then it's 6 o'clock next Tuesday. I'm like, good grief, man, all the games and travel, and this is going to be ridiculous.
Yes.
But yes, 6:30 tonight. That is correct.
Okay, so 6:30 tonight gets things kicked off. 7:40 for your pregame, for your match day, and it is Kanji and Danny once again calling it for Apple TV. Who is the man in the middle for this particular matchup? Do you have that analysis yet?
I don't have it in front of me. I am a little behind on the referee analysis portion.
All right, well, hang on. Then I will buy time. Maddie,
you tell me and I'll react.
Okay, so Maddie, first question to you while I dig up the pro assignment.
Oh Lord, I would probably say. Well, also, hello, Jason. Haven't seen you since I've graduated.
I was about to say, like, congratulations on graduation and stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I think looking ahead to this double match week, looking and seeing what you saw on Monday in training, I asked this to Tyler. I'll ask it to you. What is the morale kind of around the training center? What was it like getting to see the players interact? What was the vibe in training this week?
Morale's good. I mean, training is really limited right now. You just don't have time to do anything. I mean, it's bad timing all the way around, but everybody's dealing with this. You are literally, so you played Saturday night, you had Sunday off. Monday was your starters are doing regen. So they're doing a warm up and then going to the gym. Your reserves and guys who didn't play on Saturday are getting a session in. Tuesday is a very light session before you travel. Play Wednesday, don't train Thursday. Friday's a walkthrough, very light. You play Saturday. So, I mean, like the actual training, there's just no time to actually train. That's the sad thing about it. In terms of vibes, I think they're where this team has always been. That's not an issue. And I think anybody saying that it is, you're not there. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I hate to be that cut and dried about it. Like, if you say that the vibes in the team are bad, you are 100% wrong, because that's not what's happening. You've been out there. You guys have seen it throughout the season. It's the same as it was. This team understands where they are right now. They don't like where they are right now. I think you saw that come out more in the game Saturday than we've seen at any other time. But the idea that the vibes inside are bad because of the results, no, they want to turn those results around. It's the right kind of reaction to it, in my opinion. Now, how you turn it around is not easy. And especially in weeks like this where you're playing a ton of games, you're probably going to have to rotate just because you're going to have to, because guys are going to hit a wall and you're not able to really make any dramatic changes to anything at the moment. This is where you are right now. You've got to fight through it. And it's down to those relationships that you built from day one of preseason being strong enough to handle the adversity you're dealing with right now.
Jarrett, before we go to your question, man in the middle is Ted Uncle. Your AR is Ryan Graves and Tyler Y. Rostick. Your fourth is John Freeman. Your VAR is Michael Radchuk. Your AVAR is Joshua Patlack. That's your crew for tonight.
Okay, Ted. All right.
So this is something we've talked about, Jason, is slowing things down for this team, and not saying that you take everything down to a snail's pace, but slowing things down in the build-up phase and not rushing everything where you're just playing so quickly that you're mistake prone. It's easy to talk about that. How do you execute something like that where you're not rushing, especially a game against Cincinnati, which we have screamed to the heavens, and whether or not people listen is between them and God, but you can't get sucked into a transition game with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think it's two different things. You don't always need to slow down your build up. Sometimes you need to speed it up. Managing tempo is maybe the bigger topic here. It's easy to say and hard to do because you have to pick your spots to play quickly, where I think at times this team has been a little too slow to switch from left to right to left in buildup. It doesn't always have to be a direct ball. It can be a ball to the middle and then over. And you can vary the tempo and how you do that. Sometimes it's going to be slower to come back to the right side. If you're going right to left and you get to the middle and it's not there, you come back to the right quickly and go. It's about creating the matchups that you want. That's the most important thing. And how you get there, I don't want to say it's irrelevant because that's not true. It's less important. You want to create, whether it is a 1v1 that you want or creating a 2v1 numerical advantage. This is positional play. This is not anything beyond that. This is creating the matchups that you want. So the first part of your question, Jarrett, like you've got to manage tempo in the appropriate way for each situation. Sometimes that's playing quicker. Sometimes that's playing slower. If something's not on, don't rush it and try to make it happen there. That might be where you cycle it a little bit slower. But if you see that it's on, you got to go and you got to make the moves quicker. And that's something that I thought the decision-making was off on Saturday in a big way. And it felt like they rushed when they didn't need to rush and they slowed down when they needed to play faster. But your second point's the important one here against Cincinnati when you get into this matchup. The last few games against Cincinnati have turned into transition battles. That's not where Atlanta United wants to be. It's not where many teams want to be against Cincinnati. That's where they thrive. They're not looking for the same kind of control that an Atlanta United would, that other teams would. They're looking to make you uncomfortable by consistently getting you into a back and forth with no patience. You've got to fight against that. And I thought actually the last time Atlanta United was here last year, decision day, they did a very good job of managing that. The way you manage that is with the ball. And maybe in terms of going back to your first question, maybe in terms of tonight specifically, you might want to play a little slower at times because Cincinnati wants to play a little faster. So you want to make them have to do something that they're not necessarily comfortable with. Because what happens in those situations, at times, if they're disciplined enough, they'll fight against it. But what happens if you make them slow down, you make them not be able to affect you with their press, they get antsy. Then they start to get impatient. Then they start to get out of shape. Then they start to go chase things. And that makes it easier to play through. In my opinion, teams that are good on the ball, they like when you step up and press them because you can pass through that. Teams that aren't good on the ball don't want to get pressed because they'll turn it over. Teams that are good on the ball would rather you come out and defend higher up the field than just sit back and pack your own half. Because no matter how good you are in the ball, like crowded space is crowded space. And there's just not as many opportunities there. So if you're Atlanta, you want to manage tempo here. You want to look at, in a way, it's a game that I point to a lot last year coming out of the Leagues Cup break in Seattle, a game where I thought they did a great job of managing tempo and getting Seattle antsy, getting them to where they started to come out and chase a little bit. With Cincinnati, you want to do that. You want to create those openings, and then you want to exploit them. But the way you create the openings might be slowing things down at times to draw the opponent out to then play through.
For Cincinnati, looking at what Laurel Pfahler saw at practice, DeAndre Yedlin likely out because of the hip injury that he suffered against Orlando City. Alvis Powell nursing a hamstring injury that sidelined him. He got pulled in the 13th minute for the matchup against Columbus. Corey Baird not in training on Monday, wasn't seen on the fields Tuesday during the open portion. What would you anticipate that obviously, yes, you're still going to have Miazga and Miles there on the middle of that back line, but what would you anticipate Atlanta United offensively would be running at if there's no Yedlin, no Powell, no Baird?
It's a good question, and there's not really an easy answer to it. I mean, you'll see, I think, the back three with Murphy, Miazga, Robinson, as long as they're all ready to go, probably will stay in place. It was Valenzuela who came on for Powell last time. And if you have Valenzuela and Orejano as your two wing backs, that's maybe a little more offensively minded than you would like. But Cincinnati's played in that way before. They've played with two attack-minded wing backs. But if that's the case, you've got to punish them for that. You've got to try to get in behind. And if it's Valenzuela who starts for Powell in this one, you've got to try to get in behind him. You've got to make him uncomfortable from a defensive perspective. And he's going to be. You've got to exploit that, whether it's Thiago Almada drifting wider, whether it's Caleb Wiley getting more runs into the attacking portion of the field. The up top portion of it, I mean, Cincinnati's been pretty fluid in that position all season long. Bupenza's still out with the broken jaw. If Baird isn't able to go, I mean, you've got Sergio Santos. You've got Kevin Kelsey, who's come in. He played, 23 minutes on the weekend, looking at it, replacing Baird. You have options, but it's the wing back position that's the interesting one, with Powell and Yedlin potentially not available. I think they're going to have to play a more attack-minded player there, and you've got to take advantage.
One more round with Jason. Maddie, kick us off.
Ooh, sorry. My mother sent me a little phone call. But anyway, we're back now.
Okay.
Everything's all good. I'm fine. That's why I was
At least you
delayed.
turn off the notifications. We're taking steps forward here.
Listen, guys, I'm sorry. It's the MacBook. It connects to my phones whenever I get calls and text. It comes through. I'm sorry.
You pulled a John, in other words. That's what you did, right?
You could just not use a MacBook.
Well, no, I just got a new MacBook.
Ooh.
I can't just do it. I know it was a cute little. I love my parents. Let me just say that. But anyway, I mean, with this double match week, I am talking about it. Is it possible that we could see, especially against Nashville and other teams, other players stepping up, like maybe Dax McCarty? You see him maybe get a start. That way, it's kind of leveling out, having that bigger veteran presence in the midfield, but also too with the way Dax is able to control himself and the way he's able to navigate on the field. Is it likely we might see him get that start, and also too maybe some other players getting more opportunities to really step up and create something different, especially with everything that's been going on?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to. I think just the amount of minutes that guys are going to have to play, it's not feasible. So, where that rotation happens, I thought Dax looked good in the second half. I thought he looked really good in the Open Cup match before that. So he's in a really good spot of form. You want to take advantage of that. Whether it's tonight, whether it's Saturday, you're looking at him playing more significant minutes here. I think Jay Fortune is another one, because those two central midfielders in Bartek Sliš and Tristan Muyumba, they've run a lot this season. They've got a lot of miles on their legs. So I don't know if you can ask them to go 180 minutes over these next two games. I think you're going to have to rotate some in that portion of the field. You've got Jamal Tiare back into the mix now, which helps you a little bit up top. It gives you some different possibilities there. It's a challenge at the moment. Stian Gregersson's injury, I don't have an update there. When we talked to Gonzalo Pineda Monday, the hope was that he would clear protocol and be able to factor in, but you're kind of in the total unknown in terms of how much he can factor in right now, because the idea was to play him about 60 minutes in the Open Cup match, 45 and then you see, and 60 probably would have been the line. Well, then he had the concussion early. So if he was 45 to 60 fit last Tuesday, and then he lost some time training, you're able to train while you're in concussion protocol, but some of it is monitoring, and you're not able to fully train. And, you don't really know, did he lose fitness? So is he back to 45 max? Is he back to 30 max? You don't know. And you're going to have to figure that out a little bit on the fly. If he's going to be able to factor in tonight or on Saturday, or is it one or the other, or is it a little bit in both? These are the things. This is just where you're at. So I think big picture, you're going to need pretty much everybody that is healthy at the moment to play a role over these next two games. And then when you look ahead to Charleston next Tuesday, it's kind of who's available. And also, it wouldn't be a shock to see guys like Edwards, guys like Gordon, maybe other guys from the twos get moments in those games, because I think you're going to have to. I just, again, going back to that week of, you're not going to have time to really train. You're going to play Saturday. You're going to get back Saturday night. You're going to have Sunday off. You're going to train Monday and travel. Then you're back to LAFC on the weekend here at home. You're probably going to need to keep guys back at home next week to train at home, while some of the guys and some guys from the second team go to Charleston and try to advance in the Open Cup. That's just where you're at right now. It is a brutal part of the schedule.
Do you think we could see a player like Javier Armas and maybe Noble Okello really step up and possibly make that jump?
For the Open Cup game, yeah, I think everybody that's on a pro contract with the twos would be in consideration for that Open Cup match just because of workload for the first team guys over these next few games. I think it's all hands on deck right now amongst the guys on professional contracts at the club.
Jarrett, go for it.
How do you manage the physicality of this game? And in the sense that it's like one of the things that stuck out to me last year when you played DC and against a team that you can get into transition moments with.
When you played Cincinnati?
Well, both times. Both teams,
okay.
Because of what Atlanta does on the counter press. I'm getting there. It's just taking me a minute.
Okay.
How important is it for whoever starts on the wings up top to provide that counter pressure against a team that wants to be able to go quickly in that transition game to slow it down and to make them take a beat so you can kind of reset yourself physically and mentally and positionally?
Yeah, it's important. Cincinnati played on the weekend in Columbus. They put a lot into that game. They're not going to be at full fitness either here, and we already talked about their injuries. So what they look like tonight will not be their normal selves as well. I think going back to the first question that you asked, Jared, about the tempo, I think one way you manage all of it is by managing tempo, picking your spots to go. You don't want to get into a track meet on short rest. And I don't think Cincinnati necessarily does either. They're the ones out of the pressing direct transition teams and all different shades of that group. They're the ones that can play a little bit more. I think for Atlanta, you're going to have to manage how much you can counter press because you won't be at 100% in terms of your reserves of energy. But more importantly, you've got to prevent them finding Luciano Acosta in dangerous spots. When he drifts wide to go hide and get away from the ball and away from the play, you got to have somebody who is aware of him or with him at all times. So it's a little bit of a 50-50. Like, you've got to pick your spots in when to step up and counter press, knowing that they're going to launch. But you've also got to be careful about getting overextended on short rest with tired legs and letting Luciano Acosta have space to hurt you.
What else is on your mind?
Am I too cynical?
Jarrett has another one.
Am I too cynical? No, I do.
Yeah.
Am I too cynical in, hey, we get into some of those moments. If it's not a full transition, I'm fouling the ever-loving hell out of a couple people.
100%.
Just to bring, and I'm fouling them, and then I'm standing over them and the ball.
Yeah.
Not to taunt them, but to not let them take the free kick quickly. And I'm absolutely murdering the pace of this game if I have to.
It is
I need cynicism in moments.
In moments, yeah. And look, that's a hard switch to flip because this team isn't a cynical team. I mean, you can go back to the 2019 team with Frank DeBoer where he wanted them to be a little more cynical at times. The Salt Lake game is the one I always remember in that moment. He wanted them to foul to prevent that break.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a team that doesn't like to foul. They like to play. They like to win the ball back and go. They don't like to commit those cynical fouls. And at times they need to. And in a game like this one on the road, short rest, you need to find something in it. You need to find a result. You need to find some momentum. Yeah, if you got to do that, you got to do that. And that's where, going back to Maddie's question about a guy like Dax and me throwing Jay Fortune into that mix, those are two guys who I don't think have that issue. Like, if they need to commit a foul, if they need to upend Acosta, if they need to put him on the ground a couple times, if they need to try to get in his head a little bit, they will. And that might be what's needed here, just because you're going to have moments where the tired legs will come into play. And it will for Cincinnati too. Don't get me wrong. They're going to have issues with this as well. And sometimes teams that play in that manner have a bigger issue with it. You've got to control the play. And sometimes you control the play not with the ball, but by fouling in moments where Cincinnati can get out on the break and hurt you.
I know we've kept you longer than we anticipated. It's the way it always goes.
Okay.
What else is on your mind before we go?
Nothing much. Lunch is starting to get on my mind, to be honest. And it will not be Skyline Chili. That is a promise. Whoa. That is most definitely a spoiler. That is not happening. And in just this week of just chaos. I mean, just to give you all a glimpse of what it's like. We traveled yesterday, got here today, be back home probably. No, it's a short flight. So, I mean, it just depends on how quick you get to the airport afterwards and getting in the air. And I don't think we'll have any issues with delays, fingers crossed, although there is some weather issues in the area right now. So hopefully that won't be an issue tonight. Get home, probably guys will get in their beds between 1 and 2 a.m., maybe later. And then it's tomorrow. It's Friday. Travel to Nashville on Friday, an even shorter trip. But an early game on Saturday, those are always weird. They just change your body clock. It's weird when you're normal to play in a 7:30 game to have a 2 o'clock kick. It throws everybody off. I think it throws visiting teams off even more because you're not even at home trying to adjust to that new routine. You're on the road in a hotel trying to get up earlier and figure out what your lunch normally would be a breakfast then. And some people can't eat what they'd eat for lunch for breakfast. And it's just all that kind of stuff. And I know people are going to be like, they're pro athletes and this shouldn't be an issue. It is an issue. They're human beings. We're all human beings dealing with all this. And then you turn around and you got to go to Charleston. And you're in the round of 16 in the Open Cup. And there's not a lot of MLS teams left in this tournament.
Nope.
So that is it's a tough balance, Jarrett, because one, you're going to be tired no matter what. Like, there's no way to avoid it. You're going to be tired going into that game. And then you got to look ahead at LAFC and then a midweek trip to Miami and then a home game against Charlotte. Like, it's not like it gets easier the next week. No. So it's a brutal portion of the schedule. Other teams are going to be dealing with these things too. And it is a spot where you've got to be mentally strong. You've got to manage tempo, I think, more than ever before. Fast teams are going to have to play a little bit slower. Transition teams are going to have to be less transitional. Teams that sit back and defend are probably the ones that aren't going to have as much disruption during this time frame. So it will be tough. The games will look a little bit different. I think tonight, all around the league, the games are going to look a little more disjointed, a little more jagged, and you're just going to see those effects. And for Atlanta tonight, you've got to find ways to control momentum. You've got to keep Cincinnati frustrated, and you've got to find some things that you can build on. I think a result tonight, a result is, it's not a must, but it's close. It's very close. And more than anything, you've got to have some positive play, because the DC game was the frustrating one in that it was so different than the previous games for Atlanta United, where you have either been in a 50-50 with your opponent or you've outplayed your opponent and the results haven't gone your way. Against DC, you did not play well and you did not play like yourselves. And it looked like a team that was feeling pressure, and you've got to push that away and play your game tonight. A modified version, because you don't want to get in track meets. You're going to have to rotate guys at some portion between these next two games. You've got to be yourselves, though. And to me, that's controlling the game with the ball. And if that means you are able to get to where you want to get and get the matchups you want to get quickly, you got to take it and you've got to win them. If that means slowing the game down, controlling the game, making Cincinnati come chase you, then you've got to do that to then find those matchups that you want. But you've got to control the game with the ball. You've got to be better with the ball. And you've got to get some goals going in the right direction for you. And that's been the challenge. Against DC, you didn't play well and you found two. I mean, that's the crazy thing, is you actually find two when you don't play well. You've got to find a way to play well and get those goals and just find as much control in this match as you can.
All right. Broadcast plans, 6:30 pregame, 92.9 the game in the Odyssey app. And then you and Mike take over. 7:40 kick, and then post-match after with all of you dudes, Abe and Garrett and Jason.
Won't be all of us dudes, because we got to get on a plane.
So some of you early, but not all of you for the full time. How about that?
Yeah, because we got a plane to catch to get home to then start the whole process again ahead of Nashville.
Exactly. All right, partner. Be good. Be safe. We'll see you soon.
Adios.
All right. That's Jason. He is out the door. And all right. So then Dell's question to the floor. prediction for how many points Atlanta would or should get for the next 2 games. Maddie. What do you think?
Oh, geez. I mean, I think tonight is definitely the hardest one. I really don't know. I think it could go either way. I'm going to say we get 1 point tonight.
Okay.
And then I think in Nashville we get 3.
Okay. All right. So since Jarrett did the Irish goodbye, let's roll through the rest of the schedule quickly before we get out of here. So Maddie, if there's a game you want to talk about, this is cliffhanger. So if you want to talk about one, just yell stop and we'll talk about it. Crew on the road favored at a +112 going up against CF Montreal. DC and Red Bulls, Dylan talked about it. DC United's a +127 favored at home. Red Bulls are a +215. FC Cincinnati's on the minus side tonight. Atlanta United north of +305 to win. Draws a +315. It is Inter Miami at Inter & Co. taking on the purple team, and the purple team is favored at a +131. Obviously, when the numbers come out and the starting lineups come out for the Herons, that number is probably going to shift dramatically. Philadelphia -112 hosting NYC, who's a +282. So is your draw. Copa Tejas, Austin is a +161 at home hosting Houston at a +177. Chicago is hosting Charlotte, 8:30 kick, 8:40 kick at a +124. Charlotte on the road's a +236. Minnesota hosting LAG at 8:30. They're a +110. LAG is a +211. Your draw is a +291 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Also at 8:30, Nashville hosting Toronto FC. Big favorite at home at a -156. Draws a +305. Toronto FC is a +413. All caps is your last 8:30 match. They host LAFC. They are favored slightly at a +150. LAFC is a +161. 9:30, Colorado and the Rabid Prairie Dogs hosting Vancouver at a +106. The Whitecaps are a +240. RSL is hosting Seattle at a +102. Draws a +254. And Seattle to win at Rio Tinto is a +263. We'll have Nico Moreno to talk about things tomorrow. Your last matchup is Portland hosting San Jose at 10:30. Portland is a -114. Draws a +293. San Jose is a +276. Maddie, of those, what else is on your what's on your mind tonight with those matchups?
Oh, I mean, I'm just interested to see how these teams are able to really keep it going, especially with the double match week. I'm interested. Orlando, Inter Miami is always a fun one. That's the rivalry. I think that is going to be an interesting one, especially because it's at Orlando. And I believe, if I remember correctly, you do not have Messi.
Maybe not. Just depends.
Maybe. It depends.
Yeah.
So we don't know about that.
Jarrett's signal died. He did not do the Irish goodbye, so he is saying 2 points for the week for Atlanta.
Got it. Yeah. So I think that one is going to be a fun one to look at as well. Obviously going to keep an eye on the Nashville and Toronto matchup just because, you want to see how that goes, especially that's the team you're playing going up this weekend. But I don't know, probably Orlando and Inter Miami. I might have that one circled. Just I'm interested to see how that one's going to play out.
Well, I think that you and I are both going to be watching MLS 360 more than anything.
That is very true. Very true.
Watching friend of the network, Kevin Egan, try to keep Sasha Kleshchin, BWP, and Kalen Kyle under wraps for an entire evening. So let's see. Referee assignments just for a couple of the ones that we're paying attention to. Rubiel Vasquez is in the middle for DC and Red Bulls. Rosendo Mendoza is in the middle of the purple team and Messi and friends. Chris Penso. Oh, great. Chris Penso gets Philadelphia and NYC. That one's going to be a fun one. Let's see. Victor Rivas gets Chicago hosting Charlotte. Lucas Zapala, Minnesota United and LAG. Joe Dickerson gets all caps in LAFC in St. Louis. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Ismir Pekmic has RSL in Seattle, and Pierre-Luc Lozier gets Portland and San Jose. What to watch, where to watch it, and how. You could have completely and totally blown up your devices yesterday with the Copa Libertadores and the massive amounts of matches that were being shown with that. You could have watched it on Shumho Play. And on BN had practically all the matchups on all the BNs. And if you don't have BN, if you don't have CDO for the fans, Nuestra Tele, Gold TV, Liga 1 Max, or any of those, you can pick it up at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. And you can keep an eye on everything. BN and BN en Español have Libertadores at 8 and 8:30 tonight. Alianza Lima, Colo-Colo, Palmeiras, and Independiente del Valle. Sudamericanas at 6 and 10. Atletico Paranaense and Danubio, Cesar Vallejo, and Always Ready, one of our favorite names. Ligue 1, Nice and PSG at 3 o'clock. Copa Italia finals on CBS Sports Network at 3 with Atalanta and Juve. Manchester United and Maddie's beloved Newcastle are at 3 o'clock this afternoon on USA. BN en Español is simulcasting Liga on Libertadores and Sudamericana. ESPN Deportes has Sevilla Cadiz at 1:30. Getafe Atletico Madrid at 4. Telemundo has the Liga MX playoffs. Chivas and America at 10:05. The Universo is simulcasting the Premier League and the Liga MX. Season Pass has all of the matchups tonight. We'll go through what's free and what ain't free coming up in a bit. ESPN Plus has La Liga, all 4 matches, the 2 at 1:30 and the 2 at 4. Golazo Network has Birmingham and Charleston, and as Dell points out, this is the last match that Charleston has before Open Cup. They do not play this weekend, so they do not have midweek weekend Open Cup. They have midweek Open Cup. Birmingham and Charleston at 8. MLSNextPro.com has Next Pro. Crew 2 and Orlando City B at noon. Crown Legacy and Chattanooga FC is at 7:30. Paramount Plus is busy. Copa Italia, English Women's Super League with Tottenham and Chelsea at 2:15. Kilmarnock and Celtic at 2:30. And the USL Championship. Peacock has Brighton and Chelsea at 2:45. Okay, so schedule for today. Season Pass. Atlanta, Cincinnati, Red Bulls, D.C., Freeside, Columbus, and Montreal. Season Pass, Messi and friends at the Purple Team, NYC at Philadelphia, Houston at Austin, Freeside, Charlotte, and Chicago. Season Pass, L.A., Minnesota, Toronto, Nashville, LAFC, St. Louis, and everybody else through the rest of the night. So the Freeside games tonight, Montreal, Columbus, and Chicago and Charlotte. Everything else is on Season Pass. Maddie, last thoughts before we go.
Everyone have a great match day today.
Yes.
Dell, why would you say that to me? You already know that I listen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come here to be attacked. Okay.
First day back from being a college graduate, and she's getting pounded for not having.
But I mean, have a great match day. Listen, let's go. Vamos ATL. Got to get some points here. You have to. I mean, but hey, it's going to be a fun day of soccer, and it's going to be fun. And yeah, everyone have a great day. Stay dry. I believe it's not supposed to stop raining today, but I don't know if it is.
In theory.
Yeah.
All right. Since it is your first day back, time for you to send us home.
Oh my gosh, amazing. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for listening today. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, 9:05 a.m., and it's going to be a lot of fun. And since that is the end of the show, that means John gets to do this.
Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Back at 9:05. Enjoy a very, very busy day of soccer.